My wife has always loved trashy movies and shows about infidelities, and she eats up true crime about spouses killing their cheating partners too. She just says something about it makes her morbidly fascinated, in her words. For context, we're both in our later 30s and live in a pretty typical suburban neighborhood where we all know each other. Well, a couple months back we had a scandal in our neighborhood where a married couple in the neighborhood divorced because the husband cheated. No, there wasn't a murder or anything like that, but she became obsessed with learning every detail from every neighbor. No matter the occasion, be it a baby shower or cookout, she would bring it up hoping there would be any new information. A month later is when I stumbled on the board in her home office. I was doing some cleaning and I found a massive bulletin board facing away, leaned up against the wall. Curiosity got the better of me and I turned it around to find a literal fudging conspiracy board of all our neighbors' pictures with lines of yarn connecting each other like the fudging Pepe Sylvia meme. I was totally confused and asked what this was, and she told me it was a hobby she had started recently where she would track rumors or likely candidates for cheating on the board. The yarn represented who was possibly cheating with whom. She had clearly gotten all the images on Facebook or some social media and printed them out and even had a few sticky notes with details. I told her this was creepy and insane, and she said maybe if I was doing it as a man, but she is just having harmless fun as a hobby and she wouldn't be crazy and try to oust anyone based on rumors. She just likes feeling like a detective. She told me to view it like a creative art piece. I was still super weirded out but let it go, or tried. I thought about it a lot. Well, every now and then I admit to checking the board when cleaning, but just a couple days ago I looked to see that now I was on the board with a yarn attached to a neighbor's wife I am casual friends with. I asked her why she would add me if she thought I was cheating, and she said that was a different yarn color for potential matches for cheating. She said if it makes me feel better, she was planning on adding herself to the board soon. Well, I got pissed and kind of lost my temper about it. I told her to get rid of the board or our marriage will be in trouble. Things have been super rocky since. Sorry for the long post. I'm starting to feel bad and it hit me more than usual this morning. Should I apologize to her? And before you ask, no, I don't suspect her of cheating. Honestly, I wish she was because it would at least make more sense than this. Am I the a-hole here? Update 1. Anyway, Jesus Christ. Firstly, appreciate all of the concern and NTAs. It gave me the courage to approach her and tell her that while I may have overreacted by threatening our marriage, I think it is a creepy thing to do. She apologized and said she would get rid of the board. I thought we were good. Literally 2 days later. 2 days later. *T hits the fan. Our happily married next-door neighbor finds a woman's bra under the bed that does not belong to her. It doesn't take long for the whole neighborhood to find out. Well, my wife is giddy, like jumping up and down for joy. She shows me the board, which she still didn't trash like she promised. And of course the husband was marked with yarn, meaning he was likely to cheat. She told me the board was accurate after all, and maybe she should keep her hobby around. I was definitely suspicious, so I looked at the board again later. It looked different from the last time I saw it before the latest scandal. Instead of the yarn connecting to another neighbor, the cheating husband's yarn connected to a post-it with a question mark. Firstly, it was the only question mark there, and I swore it wasn't there last time I saw the board. So either she changed it after the cheating to prove a point, or slightly before it happened, which made me even more suspicious either way. Now I felt like I was the detective and I was going crazy. I went over to the cheating husbands to ask a few questions. The wife was staying at her parents', so it was just the two of us. I asked him if he actually did it, and he said no, he would never. Then I asked if my wife had been over recently. He said one day while you were at work his wife asked her to water a plant they had while they were both away and told her where the key was. So yes. I immediately raised an eyebrow. I asked if he still had the bra, and he was getting nervous and told me not to get the wrong idea. I said don't worry. He still had the bra, and I looked at it. It was my wife's, but one I knew she almost never wore because it was from a lingerie set I bought her one Christmas she said was uncomfortable. I told my neighbor I needed to talk to my wife, and ran out, but I told him not to worry. I approached her with the bra and asked her what was going on. She played stupid, but I told her to cut the BS. I asked if she had either cheated on me with him or planted it there. Either way, she was in trouble. She confessed to planting the bra and said it was to make me admit her hobby was valid or something. I flipped on her. I said this was worse than her cheating on me because instead of ruining just our marriage, she ruined our neighbors and ours. I demanded she call the wife and admit to everything, even sending pictures of the board. I even showed the Reddit post which actually helped convince her my wife had planted it rather than cheated with her husband. Well, they made up, but now I have no idea what to do. I am barely speaking to my wife, and it is only a matter of time before the entire neighborhood figures this out. I seriously need advice. Update 2. After the whole bra planting fiasco, I was completely checked out. I couldn't believe my wife had gone that far to validate her stupid hobby. I mean, who plants evidence to start a cheating scandal like she's some kind of suburban Sherlock Holmes? But that's not even the craziest part. Oh no, the neighborhood found out. Yup, it was inevitable. News spreads faster than wildfire around here. And within a few days, whispers of the bra incident and the cheating board started circulating. I still don't know how it got out. Maybe the neighbors patched things up, but resentment lingered and they let something slip. Or maybe the constant noise of me arguing with my wife in our driveway finally caught someone's ear. Either way, it wasn't long before everyone started talking. Suddenly, I couldn't step outside without people giving me these awkward half-smiles and pitying glances. You could feel the tension crackling in the air at the next neighborhood barbecue. People were avoiding my wife like she had the plague. Even the couple she nearly destroyed wouldn't make eye contact with her, though the wife did throw me a sympathetic look like, "I don't know how you're still standing." Meanwhile, my wife had the audacity to act like she was the victim. I kid you not, she actually doubled down. She started telling me that everyone was overreacting and it was just a prank that got a little out of hand. A little out of hand? I couldn't believe the words coming out of her mouth. She even tried to defend her actions by saying that if the guy had been cheating, she would have been vindicated. Like she's the neighborhood's morality police now? At this point, my sanity was hanging on by a thread. So, in a last-ditch effort to make sense of things, I did something maybe I shouldn't have. I decided to snoop on her phone. And boy, did I hit the jackpot. It turns out, my wife has been in a private Facebook group with a couple of other women from the neighborhood, and they're all running their own secret investigations into potential cheaters. They've been trading intel on their husbands, tracking people's social media, and even sending each other screenshots of texts and photos to analyze. One woman even made a spreadsheet. But here's where it gets dark. One of the women, let's call her Karen because, well, of course her name's Karen, had recently caught her husband messaging some random woman on Instagram. So what does she do? She goes full-blown psycho mode and decides to break into his email. She finds out he's been talking to this woman for months. The messages weren't even that bad, mostly flirty banter, but Karen's lost it and is planning some next-level revenge. Like, she's talking about draining their joint bank account and fleeing to Florida-level revenge. I didn't even know how to process this. My wife wasn't just on the sidelines of this madness. She was neck-deep in it. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately, but I had to know just how far this thing went. So I kept scrolling, and that's when I saw a message from my wife. She was telling Karen to hold off on anything rash because sometimes planting evidence works better than confrontation. Yup, my wife was not only still justifying what she did, but she was actively encouraging another woman to do it too. At that moment, something snapped in me. I couldn't live like this. I wasn't going to be married to some unhinged conspiracy theorist who thought manipulating people's lives was a fun pastime. I decided I was going to leave. But before I could even get my ducks in a row, something even crazier happened. Late last night, I got a knock on the door. It was Karen's husband, looking frantic. He'd found out what Karen was planning and was losing his mind. He begged me to talk to my wife and convince Karen to back off, saying that things had gotten way out of hand. He was practically shaking. That's when I realized just how much of a mess this whole thing had become. My wife had gone from casually ruining marriages to playing some twisted puppet master with the lives of our neighbors. I told Karen's husband that I'd try to talk some sense into her, but honestly, I wasn't sure if I could. My wife wasn't listening to me anymore, if she ever had. She was completely absorbed in this toxic soap opera of her own making. I'm writing this now from my car because I needed to get away and think. My marriage is hanging on by a thread. I'm seriously considering packing up and staying with my brother for a while, just to clear my head. I can't keep living in this circus, but I also can't deny that part of me is terrified of what my wife will do next. I haven't confronted her about the Facebook group yet, but I'm on the edge. If I don't figure this out soon, there's a real chance things could spiral even more. Update 3. Well, folks, if you thought things couldn't get any more insane, you'd be wrong. After the last post, I stayed at my brother's place for a few nights, trying to figure out what the hell my next move should be. I avoided all calls from my wife, even though she left a ton of messages. Some were apologetic, others defensive, and a few were downright manipulative, asking if I enjoyed making her look like a fool in front of the whole neighborhood. Classic, but I needed space to breathe, and my brother, bless him, gave me just enough of a nudge to stop me from completely losing it. But guess who showed up at his door, unannounced, 2 days later? My wife. She came in, looking more put together than I'd seen in days, like she'd spent the entire night rehearsing for some dramatic confrontation. I braced myself for some kind of teary apology or guilt trip, but nope. She walked in and started talking like we were just having a casual chat about the weather. It was bizarre. "So, I've been thinking," she says. "I think you're right. The board was probably a little too much. I need a more direct approach." Before I could even process what that meant, she pulled out her phone and scrolled through her texts like it was some business meeting. "Karen's husband finally caved," she continued. "I knew he was guilty, so I told her exactly how to corner him, and guess what? She found out everything. She's leaving him." I stared at her, absolutely dumbfounded. Not only had she not taken a second to reflect on the chaos she caused, she was actually proud of it. The absolute audacity. She leaned in like she was sharing some juicy gossip, completely oblivious to how much she was unraveling. "We've been thinking," she said, "Karen and I, we might go public with this. You know, like a YouTube channel, a podcast maybe? Suburban Sleuths, or something catchy like that. People eat this stuff up." I honestly felt like I was talking to a completely different person. I didn't even know how to respond. My wife, the woman who used to roll her eyes at influencer culture and true crime fanatics, was now ready to become the star of her own twisted reality show. I asked her, trying to stay calm, "Do you even hear yourself? This isn't some TV show. This is real life. You're destroying people's lives for entertainment." She just laughed. Like, actually laughed. "Oh, come on. You're being dramatic. It's not that serious. Besides, these people are adults, they can handle their own relationships. We're just exposing the truth." At that point, I was seeing red. I told her straight up that I couldn't do this anymore, that this wasn't the person I married, and if she couldn't see how destructive and downright insane this was, I was walking out for good. But she didn't even flinch. She just shrugged and said, "Maybe that's for the best. Maybe I need someone who actually gets me." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After everything, after ruining a marriage, dragging our neighbors into chaos, and practically turning into some sociopathic tabloid reporter, she was acting like I was the one with the problem. Like I was the one holding her back from some grand, delusional destiny. So I left, walked right out the door, got in my car, and drove back home to pack my things. I didn't care if the neighbors saw me loading up the car, or if more rumors started circulating. I was done. But of course, the universe wasn't done with me. Because as I'm packing, I get a call. It's Karen's husband. He's frantic, sounding way more desperate than before. He says Karen's gone completely off the rails. She's hacked into his work emails, canceled all his credit cards, and drained their joint account just like she said she would. He's begging me for help, saying that Karen's blaming my wife for pushing her to do all this, and that the two of them have some kind of twisted master plan to expose the entire neighborhood. He even mentioned a documentary crew she's been emailing. A documentary crew. I'm not even sure what's real anymore at this point. It's like I'm stuck in some bizarre fever dream where my wife is plotting to take down our suburban cul-de-sac with a reality TV show. I told him I'd help however I could, but honestly, what am I supposed to do? I can't control her. She's beyond reason at this point. I finally confronted her later that night. I asked her straight up if she was planning to go public with all of this, and she didn't even deny it. She said, "Why not? Everyone's watching true crime documentaries, reality shows, people love this stuff. We're sitting on a gold mine of content." I told her that she was out of her mind, that this wasn't a game, and that I was filing for divorce. That's when things got real. She started crying, not the kind of tears that make you feel sympathy, but the kind of crocodile tears that just make you feel gross. She said something about how I was abandoning her when she needed me the most, that I couldn't handle her ambition, and how she had big plans for us. I walked out mid-sentence. So, here I am, sitting in a half-packed house, debating whether I should burn the whole place down or just leave quietly in the middle of the night. I'm filing for divorce first thing tomorrow, but even that feels like just the start of whatever twisted saga is about to unfold. I've already heard rumors that the Facebook group is still going strong, and apparently, they're planning some kind of neighborhood watch event soon, probably to dig up more dirt and feed their paranoid fantasies. And here's the kicker. I've heard whispers about a Netflix deal. Yeah, you read that right. Apparently, one of the women in the group has a cousin who works in production, and they're shopping around the idea of a series. I don't know if that's real or just more gossip, but at this point, nothing surprises me anymore. Update 4. I honestly don't even know where to begin with this. I never thought I'd be writing this last update, and trust me, when I say final, I mean it. There's no coming back from what just happened. I filed for divorce the day after my last post, and to say my wife didn't take it well would be the understatement of the century. She flipped, called me every name under the sun, told me I was weak, told me I couldn't handle a woman with vision. Vision. That's what she kept calling her obsession now. It wasn't a hobby, It wasn't a weird little side project anymore. It was her vision. Fine, whatever. Let her have her vision. I just wanted out. But here's where it gets real. I hadn't even been out of the house for 48 hours when the Netflix rumors suddenly weren't just rumors anymore. I'm at my brother's place, trying to figure out how to move my stuff without another screaming match, when I get a text. It's from a neighbor, and it's a link to a goddamn trailer. For what, you ask? Well, brace yourselves. It was a full-blown teaser trailer for a new documentary series called Neighborhood Watch: Suburban Secrets Exposed. I swear to God, I almost dropped my phone. It wasn't Netflix, though, at least, not yet. Apparently, my wife and her merry band of suburban detectives had gone all in and produced a pilot episode on their own. The teaser had actual footage of my wife, Karen, and two other neighborhood women sitting around in their living rooms, talking about uncovering the truth and how nobody's secrets are safe. The trailer was a slick, polished, totally insane mess. They even filmed parts of the board, blurred faces for privacy, because of course they did, and had dramatic voiceovers about how suburban life isn't as simple as it seems, with sweeping drone shots of our damn neighborhood. It looked like a high-budget conspiracy show, and in the middle of it all, there was a clip of me. It was from the last neighborhood barbecue. They must have filmed it on their phones, but there I was, laughing and holding a beer, completely oblivious. And the voiceover? My wife's voice saying, "Even those closest to you can't be trusted." I'm not gonna lie, I almost threw my phone across the room. The whole thing was so surreal. I wasn't even angry at first. It was like watching someone else's life explode on screen. But that feeling didn't last long. What came next was the real bombshell. The trailer dropped on YouTube and started picking up steam like actual views. Apparently, people online are suckers for suburban drama, and soon enough, local news outlets were reporting on it. I woke up to a barrage of texts from friends, family, and coworkers. Everyone wanted to know if I was okay, or if this was some kind of sick joke. It wasn't. So here's where the twist comes. While all this is blowing up, I'm trying to figure out my next move: lawyers, damage control, maybe even issuing some kind of public statement. But then I get a call from Karen's husband. His voice is shaky, and he tells me that things have gotten out of hand. Karen had gone completely off the rails, even more than before. She had apparently sold everything: their house, their cars, everything they shared to fund some twisted crusade for the truth. She was planning to leave town and take the documentary to LA to shop it around to bigger production companies. But that's not even the worst part. My wife? She knew. She helped her. They had been plotting it for weeks, and Karen wasn't just leaving town, she was planning to take her kids with her. Her husband was terrified, saying Karen had told him that the suburban lie is more dangerous than he thinks, and that she needed to save everyone by exposing them. It was cult-level crazy. I don't know what snapped in Karen or if my wife had pushed her over the edge, but I realized right then that this wasn't just drama anymore. People were actually getting hurt. Marriages were being destroyed. Families were falling apart, all because of this delusional obsession. That's when I decided enough was enough. I called my wife and told her I was done for real. No second chances, no working things out. I told her that if she didn't stop this madness, I would go public, get lawyers involved, and make sure everyone knew just how insane this whole thing was. And I didn't care if she tried to drag me down with her. She just laughed. "You think you can stop this?" she said. "People love this. You have no idea how many people are reaching out, saying they want to help. I'm a star now." That's when I hung up, blocked her number, and made my decision. I packed up what little I had left and moved out of state. I'm staying with a friend for now, far away from that neighborhood and that entire toxic, insane situation. I'm filing for divorce remotely and have already started looking into legal action to keep my name and my life out of whatever train wreck my wife is trying to make of it. And Karen? She did leave. I don't know where she went, but last I heard, her husband is in a custody battle, and the neighborhood is in shambles. Everyone's paranoid, watching their backs, wondering if they'll be the next star of this suburban circus. The whole place feels like it's rotting from the inside out. As for my wife, I haven't spoken to her since. I've heard through the grapevine that she's still pushing this Neighborhood Watch series, trying to get it picked up by a network. And who knows, maybe she'll get her wish. Maybe she'll be the next big reality star, but I won't be around to see it.